Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Darren, a first year medical student studying at Monash University here in Australia. Thank you guys so much for the support so far. And the next sort of milestone and where I'll be releasing a special video is at 500 subscribers, and we're getting really close, so please, if you haven't yet, like, comment and subscribe. So for that video, I'm planning to do a Q&A. So if you have any questions about studies, about me, just drop them in the comments below, or DM them to me on Instagram, and I'll be sure to answer them in that video. So for today's video, I'll be talking about a problem that all students have to overcome, and that is preparing for assessments which are really close together, or preparing for multiple assessments. So in year 12 in VC particularly, this comes in the form of sacs, which around this time of term 1 starts piling up and starts shifting up in its quantity and how close together the sacs are. But this is also universal to uni students, to people not in Australia, because we all know the feeling of having a lot of assessments and seeing them coming up and being very stressed about how to prepare for them. And so for uni, you'd have things like exam week, or you might have coincidentally a lot of assignments that are due around the same time. So to try and give you substantial advice on how to prepare well for these, I'll sort of be using some of my past experiences and as an example. So I did 6 subjects in year 12, and since we have sacs interspersed throughout the year, that meant I had a lot of sacs. And particularly because I did English and English language, the school would often arrange those 2 sacs really close to each other, so the day after each other. And there were 3 boys in the year level doing it, and we just be the ones who have to deal with that. So the video will be split into 2 parts. In the first part, which is the bulk of the video, I'll talk about how I would advise you guys to prepare and use myself as an example. So how I would split English language on my English time. And there was a time where I had English language, English and Spech on consecutive days. So 3 very important subjects on 3 consecutive days. In the second part of my video, I'll sort of talk about how I thought about assessments in general, or sacs, assessments, exams, whatever, as they got closer. Because I know a lot of people get stressed, and a lot of people think the world's gonna end if they don't do well, and they just pile up so much pressure. So I thought I'd share my thoughts on it, and yeah, with you guys. So please enjoy the video. So first up, let's talk about how to prepare for these multiple assessments, exams, sacs that may be coming up for you. So if you haven't checked out my studying philosophies video, please give that a watch. In there, it covers one of the very critical philosophies that I follow in my studying, and in particular in my preparation. And that is to continually interrogate myself and ask myself, what am I most scared of and what am I most nervous about if it did come up in the assessment? And so these are the things that I'll be working on a significant period of time before the actual sacs. So let's say there was actually a week in my year, in year 12, where I had a sac, which is a very important assessment if you're not from Victoria, which contributes to my end of year, my whole high school uni acceptance grade. So I had a sac for English on Tuesday, a sac for English language on Wednesday, and a sac for Latin on Thursday. So English and Latin were actually ended up being in my top 4 subjects, and English language was also important because I didn't really know which one out of that in English would be in my top 4. So anyway, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are where my sacs are. Probably by Saturday or by Friday, if I want the weekend to sort of consolidate, but by Saturday at least, I would have covered all those points that I'd be nervous about. So for example, English, there would be some topics that I haven't quite planned out yet. I would do that by Saturday night. For English language, some of the short answer questions, the sac for English language was an essay sac. So once again, sort of essays that I hadn't really planned out yet, or paragraphs that I haven't written. So for example, in English language, you prepare paragraphs like euphemism, taboo language, expletives, and that's quite a lot of work. If there are some paragraphs I haven't done, I try and get them all done by Saturday, so that I'm not scared if a topic that requires a particular paragraph comes up in the actual sac. And for Spech maths, I think that sac was on, let me think, calculus? Yeah, I think it must have been on calculus. I was generally fine with Spech. I had a very good tutor, and the info was covered quite well. So mainly for Spech, it was sort of CAS calculator, so calculator shortcuts that I would need to commit to memory, and I'll do that all before Saturday or by sort of Saturday night. And before Saturday night also, I would try and get the bulk work done. So those are the kind of revision things that take up a lot of time and take up a lot of effort. So for example, for English, that was memorizing quotes for my novels, for my essays, so memorizing quotes. For English language, that was memorizing the examples that I would be using in my paragraphs. So examples from people like Daniel Andrews, from Nick Kyrgios, from Frenchie, the comedian. So these are all examples I would use in my essays, and I would try and remember them. And also the date that they said these particular things. I would try and commit that to memory all before Saturday. And for Spesh, I would try and have basically all the practice sacs done before then. So I might have one sac left that I might want to do on Sunday, preferably not Monday, because Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when the sacs are, so preferably maybe Sunday. But otherwise, I'd have all my sacs done, all the strong, hard revision done by that time. So about 3 days before the first sac. And my reasoning for this is because once you get close to a sac, you sort of start getting tunnel vision. Because I found that with my friends and with me, you sort of can't really think of anything else but the sac, because the sac is really important and sort of seems to demand your attention. And it's really hard in that kind of stress, pressure environment to be able to absorb lots of information. So you can't really do like bulk quote memorizing then. And also becomes difficult to sort of keep a clear head and concentrate well, which is required if you want to cover your weak points. So that's why I recommend covering your weak points and doing the bulk work before sort of Saturday. And also with your other subjects which aren't being assessed, I never really worked ahead, but I would recommend you just do the work, like just don't lag behind in those subjects. Because I think it doesn't take a lot of your time to be able to complete the work that is necessary. So maybe just those are some questions your teacher has set. Maybe it's just making your notes look a bit tidier. So I recommend doing those things for your other subjects just throughout that whole period. So not even by Saturday, just even if you have a sac the next day, I don't think lagging behind is a good idea. So just get that done. It will take not that long, but it will put you in good stead after the sacs are over. Okay, so now we get to that period sort of between Saturday and Tuesday. So there's 2 days right before you have your first sac. So let's talk about Sunday and let's talk about Monday. So those 2 days I would recommend sort of consolidating your knowledge and just going through and affirming to yourself what you know. This is not really the time to suddenly realize you have a lot you don't know or you have a lot of gaps in your knowledge. This is the time to affirm to yourself that yes, I know this, I could do this. Go over the information just so you have a strong idea of it in your head. So for English, for me, that involved maybe reconstructing some paragraphs that I'd written before on themes that I prepared before. So I sort of give myself confidence that yes, I can produce this in the sac. For Spesh, it might be just working through some questions, thinking about some concepts, and maybe drawing some graphs as well, just to confirm to myself, yes, okay, I can still, I can perform in the sac about how to dilate this way, how to shift it this way. I can draw this graph. I know what it looks like. I can derive what it looks like. And I know where the asymptotes are. So it's really just going through the fundamentals and just making sure you know everything and familiarizing yourself with everything, so that you sort of have a solid foundation. And also it's not just in your long-term memory, those little foundational things, but also in your short-term memory as well, in preparation for the sac. So for Monday night, what I would recommend is really not taking it too hard. So not stressing out a lot, not working really hard, because that's not really the time to do so. Because the sacs are quite compact, I don't recommend on Monday you sort of grind for your Thursday sac. I think just take it easy, just work through the normal work you do, take some notes. I think it should be lighter than a normal work day, a normal school day. So if you had no sacs that week, on a Monday night, you'd be working harder than you should be if there are sacs on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. For Monday, I think it's just refreshing yourself with what the sac's about, knowing what's going to be on the sac, going through your notes, and just keeping refreshed and being ready for the first sac. And I think once it gets to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you start taking things, well, I did at least, taking things by a day-to-day approach. So Tuesday, I'll remind you again, Tuesday, English, Wednesday, English language, and Thursday, specialist maths. So on Monday night, I'd just be going through my English. I might look a bit at English language, especially if there was something I wanted to check, but mainly I just kind of be doing English, surrounding myself with English, with the quotes, with the text, with the theme to really get myself in the zone for the assessment tomorrow. And then on Tuesday night, I forget everything about English. I don't, think about it too much. And then I go to English language. I might need, you'll probably be tired after your sacs, so just take as long as you need. Don't really force yourself to work really hard. And once again, surround yourself with English language, have a look at the paragraphs you've written and read over the quotes from famous linguists. And then just once again, get yourself into the zone for English language. And on Wednesday night, forget about English, forget about English language, and just surround yourself with maths. So I think that's really important, being able to shift modes, shift from English to English language to specialist maths mode, and not really being too concerned with how you performed on the last one, because you really just have to move on, because you can't let one performance affect your other ones. And this is particularly important in the end of your exam, which I will talk to you guys about as well. So just to summarize, it's sort of a 3-part process in preparing for multiple sacs. 1, get your bulk work done and cover your weak areas, or like patch up your black holes before 2 or 3 days before the cluster of sacs comes up. 2, in those couple of days right before the cluster of sacs, so go over the fundamentals, familiarize yourself with all the sort of basics, so that you feel confident and you can do well and you feel secure in your ability and the work that you've put in. Thirdly, during that sac period, I recommend sort of getting tunnel vision and focusing on each sac as it comes. The day before, or the night before, just get yourself into that subject zone, so that when you get into the sac, you've been doing, for example, you go into English, you've been doing English the past night, you've been thinking about English, now you're going in, it's sort of like a natural extension, rather than like abruptly pulling you from thinking about Latin or thinking about German or something. So getting yourself into that environment so that you're prepared to do sac well. So those are the 3 main parts of preparing for multiple assessments or multiple sacs. So secondly, let's have a chat about my thoughts on sacs, on exams, on assessments, and these kind of major obstacles or things you have to prepare for in general. So everyone sort of has different opinions on how to deal with high pressure situations and how to approach these situations in preparation. And these are kind of just my thoughts. I think they're pretty logical, so I thought it'd be nice to share it with you guys. So before a sac, about like 1 or 2 days before, up until that point in time, I'll be very obsessive in my preparation. So I'd be very perfectionist. I try and cover all my bases, all my weak points, and I'll put a lot of pressure on myself. I'll think about how much the sac is worth, how it will count towards my final grade. And so I would work hard to try and alleviate that stress, because that is the best way to alleviate worries and stress with regards to exams, I think, which is just to put in work and to really identify what you're worried about and to then work on that. However, once it got to the sacs, like 1 day before and like on the day and during the sac, I would push all those perfectionist tendencies out of my mind, and I would not be thinking about how much it's worth, what it's counting towards. All I would be purely focused on is executing all the things that I practiced. So executing time management in terms of how much time I spend on each question. I'm executing what am I looking for in reading time? I'm assessing how hard it is, or am I looking for questions that I don't know, or am I maybe answering some questions in my head, and just executing and just purely focused on things that I've practiced. So in that moment in the sac and sort of the day before, I don't think there's a point in building up the pressure of the sac and really putting the pressure on yourself, because once you get into the sac, thinking about the high stakes is not going to help you at all. What is going to help you is to remember all the things you've practiced, remember the things you've got wrong, and try to execute and try to avoid those pitfalls that you've fallen into in the past. So purely focused on doing the sac, on completing each question, without thinking of external factors like how much it's worth. So this idea of pushing external factors out of your mind is really important for preparing for multiple sacs as well. And when it gets close to those sacs and in between those sac and assessment days, it's really important to push how well you did and not push how well you did or how well you think you did out of your mind, and to not think about it, and to instead really focus on the next SAC, because the worst thing you want happen is your first assessment to have repercussions on your other ones. So I think the best thing is to get it done, tick it off the checklist, and then focus purely on the next one, and do the things I've said before, like surrounding yourself with the environment of the next subject, so that you're in the zone, and going in focused completely on executing all the things that you've practiced so that you can do the best you can. Thank you guys for tuning into today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it and found some ways to better prepare for SACs, assessments, exams that are compacted within a short period of time. If you like studying related content and you're like interested in med at Monash and uni medicine, please check out these videos here. Good luck for all your assignments or your exams that you might have coming up. I wish you the best of luck for those, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.